Good evening. It's January 6th, and tonight we are going to read Genesis 13:5 through 15:21, Matthew 5:27 through 48, Psalms 6 1 through 10, and Proverbs 2 1 through 5. And then we will do just like a 1 minute breakdown of each one of those little sections. And what I've been saying since the beginning is this is not for basically everybody else. This is accountability for me. If you would like to jump on board and have accountability, that would be great. Like and subscribe. Tell your folks about this. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Just spread the word because we are going to read the Bible in a year together. I'm going to say it every night. I made it to about May of last year. I've never read the Bible from front to back. I've kind of read bits and pieces of each thing while I've been studying or reading it. So we're going to read this together. We're going to do Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs every night. So it takes about maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll go from there. So tonight, January 6th, Genesis 13:5 through 15:21. Lot, who was traveling with Abram, was also rich in sheep and cattle and tents. But the land couldn't support both of them. They had too many possessions. They couldn't both live there. Quarrels broke out between Abram's shepherds and Lot's shepherds. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at the time. Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have fighting between us. Between your shepherds and my shepherds, after all, we're family. Look around. It's it's there, plenty of land out there. Let's separate. If you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left." Lot looked. He saw the whole plain of the Jordan spread out, well watered. This was before God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Like God's garden, like Egypt, and stretched all the way to Zoar. Lot took the whole plain of the Jordan. Lot set out to the east. That's how they came to part company. Uncle and nephew, Abram settled in Canaan. Lot settled in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent near Sodom. The people of Sodom were evil, flagrant sinners against God. After Lot separated from him, God said to Abram, "Open your eyes, look around, look north, south, east, and west. Everything you see, the whole land spread out before you. I will give to you and your children forever. I'll make your descendants like dust. Counting your descendants will be as impossible as counting the dust on the earth. So, on your feet, get moving. Walk through the country, its length and breadth. I'm giving it all to you." Abram moved to his tent. He went and settled by the oaks of the Mamre in Hebron. There he built an altar to God. Let's make sure we're still going here. Then this, Amraphel king of Shinar, Arioch king of Elasar, oh my lord, Kedorlaomer king of Elam, and the title king of Goim went off to war to fight Bera king of Sodom, Bresha king of Gomorrah, Shineb king of Adam, Shemeber king of Zamboi, and the king of Bela, that is Zor. The second group of kings that this second group of kings they attacked came together at the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. They had been under the thumb of Kedorlaomer for 12 years. In the 13th year they revolted. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer, and the kings aligned with him set out and defeated the Rephaim in Eshtaol, Karam and Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in the Shebev, Lord, these names, y'all, Kerithim and the Hortites in their hill country of Seir, as far as the El Paran on the far edge of the desert. On their way back, they stopped at En Misfat. This is Kadesh, and conquered the whole region of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites, who lived in Hazazon Tamar. That's when the king of Sodom marched out with the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Adam, and the king of Zebolium, and the king of Bela, that is Zor. They drew up in battle formation against their enemies in the valley of Siddim, against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal king of Golim, Afral king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Lesser, 4 kings against 5. The valley of Siddim was full of tar pits. When the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, they fell into the tar pits, but the rest escaped into the mountains. The 4 kings captured all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah, all their food and equipment, and went on their way. They captured Lot, Abram's nephew, who was living in Sodom at the time, taking everything he owned with them. A fugitive came and reported to Abram and the Hebrew. Abram was living at the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and Aner. They were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his nephew had been taken prisoner, he lined up his servants. All of them were born in his household. There were 318 of them, and chased after the captors all the way to Dan. Abram and his men split into small groups and attacked by night. They chased them as far as Hobah, just north of Damascus. They recovered all the plunder along with nephew Lot and his possessions, including the women and people. After Abram refused, after Abram returned from defeating Kedorlaomer, not these names, and all his allied kings, the king of Sodom came out to greet him in the valley of Shaveh. The king's valley, Meshezek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest to the high God and blessed him. Blessed be Abram by the high God, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be the high God who handed your enemies over to you. Abram gave his tenth and of all the recovered plunder. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me back the people, but keep all the plunder for yourself." But Abram told the king of Sodom, "I swear to God, the high God, creator of the heaven and the earth, the solemn oath that I'll take nothing from you, not so much as a thread or a shoestring. I'm not going to have you go around saying I made Abram rich. Nothing for me other than when other men ate and they share the nothing of me other than what the young men ate and the share of the men who went with them. Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre there to get their share of the plunder." After all these things, the word of God came to Abram in a vision. "Don't be afraid, Abram. I'm your shield. Your reward will be grand." Abram said, "God, Master, what use are your gifts as long as I am childless, and Eliezer of Damascus is going to inherit everything?" Abram continued, "See, you've given me no children, and now a mere house servant is going to get it all." Then God's message came, "Don't worry, he won't be your heir. A son from your body will be your heir." Then he took him outside and said, "Look at the sky, count the stars. Can you do it? Count your descendants. You're going to have a big family, Abram." And believing God. God declared him set right with God. God continued, "I'm the same God who brought you from Ur and Chaldees and gave you this land to own." Abram said, "Master God, how am I to know this, that it will be all mine?" God said, "Bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, and a dove and a young pigeon." He brought all these animals to him, split them down the middle, and laid the halves opposite each other. But he didn't split the birds. Vultures swooped down on the carcasses, but Abram scared them off. As the sun went down, a deep sleep overcame Abram, and the sense of dread dark and heavy. God said to Abram, "Now your descendants, will live as outsiders in the land not theirs. They'll be enslaved and beaten down for 400 years. Then I'll push their slave masters. Your offspring will march out of their loaded with plunder, but not you. You'll have a long and full life and die a good and peaceful death. Not until the 4th generation will your descendants return here. Sin is still a thriving business among the Amorites." When the sun was down and it was dark, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch moved between the split carcasses. That's when God made a covenant with Abram. "I'm giving this land to your children, from the Nile River to Egypt, in Egypt to the river Euphrates in Assyria, the country of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Kadamites, and Hittites, Perizzites, Rapham, Amorites, Canaanites, Gigashites, and Jebusites. So Genesis 13:5, 15 through 22, the breakdown says Abram separates from Lot to keep peace, choosing humility over strife. Lot chooses what looks good. Abram trusts God. God then explains Abram's promise, land, descendants, and blessings beyond what he could see. In Genesis 15, Abram believes God and that faith is credited as righteousness. God seals the covenant himself, proving the promise doesn't depend on Abram's perfection, but on God's faithfulness. The big idea is trust God's promise over visible comfort. He does the heavy lifting. I'm going to read that again. Trust God's promises over visible comfort. He does the heavy lifting. Y'all, I apologize for these names. Now I see why I stopped reading, I think, the Bible from front to back, because that's just some of these. And I realize there's a reason that these names are in here, but that's just ridiculous. So don't get on me about my pronunciation. We're going to read Matthew 5:27 through 48. You know the next commandment pretty well, too. Don't go to bed with another spouse, but don't think you've preserved your virtue simply by staying out of the bed. Your heart can be corrupted by lust even quicker than your body. Those ogling looks you think nobody notices, they also corrupt. Let's not pretend this is easier than it really is. If you want to live a moral, pure life, here's what you have to do. You have to blind your right eye the moment you catch it in a lustful leer. You have to choose to live one-eyed, or else be dumped on a moral trash pile. And you have to chop off your right hand the moment you noticed it's raised threateningly. Better a bloody stump than your entire body discarded for good in the dump. Remember the scripture that says, "Whoever divorces his wife, let him do it legally, giving her divorce papers and her legal rights." Too many of us are using this as a cover for selfishness and whim, pretending to be righteous just because you are legal. Please, no more pretending. If you divorce your wife, you're responsible for making her an adulteress, unless she has already made herself that by sexual promiscuity. And if you marry such a divorced adulteress, you're automatically an adulteress yourself. You can use legal cover to mask a moral failure. And don't say anything you don't mean. This counsel is embedded deep in our traditions. You only make things worse when you lay down a smokescreen of pious talk, saying, "I'll pray for you," and never doing it, or saying, "God be with you," and not meaning it. If you don't make your words true by embellishing them with religious lace, I'm making your speech sound more religious. It becomes less true. Just say yes and no. When you manipulate words to get your own way, you go wrong. Here's another old saying that deserves a second look. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Is this going to get us anywhere? Here's what I propose. Don't hit back at all. If someone strikes you, you stand there and take it. If someone drags you into a court and sues you for your shirt on your back, gift wrap it. Gift wrap your best coat and make a present of it. And if someone takes unfair advantage of you, use the occasion to practice the servant life. No more tit for tat stuff. Live generously, your family with the old written law. Love your friend and its unwritten companion. Hate your enemy. I'm challenging that. I'm telling you to love your enemies. Let them bring you out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, respond with a supple moves of prayer. For then you're working out. For then you are working out of your true selves. Your God creates selves. This is what God does. He gives his best, the sun to warm and the rain to nourish, to everyone, regardless, the good and the bad, and the nice and the nasty. If all you do is love the lovable, do you expect a bonus? Anybody can do that. If you simply say hello to those who greet you, do you expect a medal? Any run of the mill sinner does that. In a word, why am I saying this? Grow up. Your kingdom's subjects now live like it. Live our God, live out your God created identity. Live generously and graciously towards others, the way God lives towards you. That's some pretty deep stuff right there. You know, something that hit me was for you men out there that are watching this, there's a lustful eye. Even if you leer at somebody, they're calling this a lustful eye. I'm a dude. I've done it. There's not a man out there that says they haven't done it. So those are the things that we need to ask for forgiveness of and to be aware of. And there was something else in here. The eye for an eye thing too. I'm not a big fighter. I don't think I've really ever been in a fight before. I just walk away from it. There's just no reason for it. So the breakdown says in Matthew, it says Matthew 5:27 through 48, Jesus raises the standard from outward behavior to inward heart posture. Lust is exposed as adultery of the heart. Love replaces revenge, and enemies are to be prayed for, not avoided. Jesus calls believers to radical, supernatural love that reflects the Father. This isn't about legalism, it's about transformation. The big idea, kingdom living starts in the heart, not just the hands. Ouch. Are you living that? Because that's for me too. Kingdom living starts in the heart, not just the hands. That's pretty deep. Psalm 6:1 through 10. Please, God, no more yelling, no more trips into the woodshed. Treat me nice for a change. I'm so starving for affection. Can't you see I'm black and blue, beaten up badly in bones and soul excuse me. God, how long will it take for you to let up? Break in, God, and break up this fight. If you love me at all, get me out of here. I'm no good to you dead, am I? I can't sing in your choir if I'm buried in some tomb. I'm tired of all this, so tired. My bed has been floating 40 days and nights. Of the floods of my tears, my mattress is sogging with tears. The sockets of my eyes are black holes, nearly blind. I squint and grope. Get out of here, you devil's crew. At last, God has heard my sobs. My requests have all been granted. My prayers are answered. Cowards, my enemies disappear. Disgraced, they turn tail and run. Psalm 6:1 through 10. David cries out in pain, fear, and weakness, but doesn't run from God. He runs to him. He pours out raw emotion, then shifts to confidence, knowing God has heard his prayer. Sorrow turns into assurance. The big idea, God welcomes honest prayers and responds with mercy. Proverbs 2:1 through 5. Good friend, take heart. Let's try again. Good friend, take to heart what I'm telling you. Collect my counsels and guard them with your life. Tune your ears to the world of wisdom. Set your heart on a life of understanding. That's right. If you make insight your priority, you will take no for an answer. Searching for it like a prospector panning for gold, like an adventurer on a treasure hunt. Believe me, before you know it, fear of God will be yours. You'll be you'll have come upon the knowledge of God. Proverbs 2:1 through 5 says, wisdom isn't passive, it's pursued. I pray for wisdom every day, but you know what? You have to pursue it and not just wait on it. Wisdom isn't passive, it's pursued. Those who actively seek understanding like hidden treasure will again discernment and a deeper fear of the Lord. Wisdom begins with hunger. Ouch. That's an underlying moment. Big idea. If you choose wisdom, God will meet you with understanding. Wisdom begins with hunger. Does that sound like you? Sounds like me. All right, guys. I appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate you, for those of you that are watching these, catching up. It is January 6th, and we'll do this again tomorrow. I'm going to try to do it first thing in the morning. So you'll have a good night, and I love you.